There's a party on next door, and the street is absolutely packed with cars. I completely forgot that this place was just a few miles from my work on Friday.
Actually, no.
Brilliant news. Safeway has also started carrying these. Now I don't have to go to Fry's, which I don't like.
Yeah.
Oh, you could really get used to these backup cameras. They're awesome. Well, it's take two. Over the weekend, we had fish and chips just because, damn it, I was in a fish and chips mood. Both Irene and I got a little upset to the stomach, although it's unclear whether or not that had anything to do with the fish or not, because it happened hours apart. But damn it, it's Pete's Fish and Chips time again. I'm gonna give it another try. This time, I've got my ATM card. So we're gonna stop and get some cash, and then we're gonna go to Pete's Fish and Chips so that I can be disappointed. Which is, well, the sad part of this entire scenario. And no, I'm not going to let you watch me do my ATM. Look, Apple Pay. So the funny bit there is that I apparently could have used Apple Pay at the ATM if I'd had my debit card programmed in to my Apple Wallet, which I don't, so it wouldn't have worked last Friday, but it's an option that I could have used had I known and prepared, which I probably will from now on. Here we go again. Today is the day that I'm going to cut Pete's Fish and Chips some slack. You recall that I complained, and I think to a degree rightly so, that they are serving fish patties, which is exactly what you would expect from something like McDonald's. So when I think of fish and chips, I think of, frankly, cut slabs of fish. And that has been my complaint about Pete's Fish and Chip. It was perfectly serviceable fish, but it was, what you buy in the grocery store, in the bags, in the frozen food section. I grew up eating those. Lots of them. Lots and lots of them. Fish sticks and fish patties. So, of course, I do enjoy them. But we just went for fish and chips over the weekend to a place that serves fish. It's also been in business since the 50s here, but they actually cut and batter their fish. And for 3 of us eating fish and chips, the meal was over $40. Now, and that included drinks, and one side item beyond the chips. The food I've just had at Pete's, I had 2 pieces of fish and chips, or fries if you prefer, and a large soda, was under $7 or under $8. I'd have to take a look at the receipt, but it was $7 or $8. The fish itself was $4, and then I had a big drink, and of course they gouge you on the drink. Everybody does. A couple dollars for that, but yeah. So cheap for fish, cheap. And that said, it was well cooked, nice and crunchy. It was decent fish inside, even if it was ground up fish grind. You know, again, a little offensive that it's supermarket fish patty, but at the same time, I enjoyed it and it was cheap. So if it hadn't been in the 60s and there's a cold wind blowing and you have to sit outside, I would have had no complaints at all about that fish going experience. So, all right, thumbs up Pete's Fish and Chips. Maybe I'll eat there again in less than 22 years. Come to think of it, the way the fish prices are going, that might be the only place I get to eat fish and chips in the next 22 years. I don't know if I've mentioned it or not, but my Prius has 3 drive modes. The default appears to be Eco. Then there's a normal drive mode. And then ultimately there's power mode. And I know I've discussed power mode before, because when I kick the car into power mode, it's particularly handy for getting on California freeways because they are awful. Their on-ramps are so short, but you really need to kick up the speed to get up to driving speed so that you don't impede traffic. So that's really handy, and that's about the only time I use it, or when you think you may be a little tight getting across a long street or something. Now, I've never really used the normal mode, and I suppose I could probably look in the manual and it might tell me what the difference between Eco and normal is, but I never have. Yesterday, I put it in normal mode to see 2 things. 1, if I could tell a difference, which I couldn't. And 2, if when I turned the car off, it would still be in normal mode. Or whether it would default back to Eco mode. Didn't notice anything, forgot about it. This morning, this morning, when I was coming out to go to lunch, I had completely forgotten the car was in normal mode, so I drove all the way in and I didn't notice anything, and I came to the coming out of the driveway at the office and made a right turn, and my wheels just spun out completely. So I was like, wow, the car's, and then I realized, oh, I'm in normal mode. So it does something. I just don't know. It's not noticeably more powerful like power mode is, which is frighteningly fast at times. So I guess I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm just heading off to lunch, and well, the sirens you can hear is a funeral procession going by, so there's no point in me even driving out because they've got traffic blocked on the main street here. But it's more this in front of me. It's the fleet of utility trucks here that are working in the neighborhood. You know, I don't like them screwing up my electricity when I'm working at home. I don't like them screwing up my electricity at all. But that looks like what's going to follow.
It's a bad one today. So as I mentioned, probably it's only been last week. Maybe it was last week. My neck has been screwed up. And it's getting better. After the worst day, but it's always worse in the morning when I wake up. I'm not sleeping right. I'm not doing something in my sleep that's screwing it up. Sometimes it's not just my neck, but the back in general. It's been a nuisance most days, but this morning it woke me up with the pain. About 4 o'clock. And I've come out here and I've propped myself up. Let's see here. With my legs up on the sofa because that eases the stress on my back when I'm lying flat on my back on a hard surface. And I've got the hot pad. And it was beginning, I was lying here in the dark, which is, well, I didn't have any footage from earlier. And I was, excuse me, killing some time reading my social media and whatnot in the dark, kind of like I am right now. So in other words, phone up, looking down, and something across my field of vision. And then it leapt on my hand, which, let's see, in this picture would be right over there. And on the base of the screen. And we have these things here in Phoenix that are rightly called crane flies. They look like giant mosquitoes. About that big. They look just like a giant mosquito. And it leapt on, it was on my hand in the screen, and I flung the phone across the room, uncontrollably jerked. It's made my neck even worse. I'm hoping that the heat pad will ease it up enough that I can go to work this morning. It's Friday. But right now, I couldn't drive. No way. Can't turn my head enough to see left or right. Oh, and now the part I hate. Well, one of the parts I hate. Oh. The ice pack. I don't like the ice pack. No, sir. I don't like it at all.